I interject?
Yeah,
So,
go ahead, Miss Sabina.
I don't. First off, just a reminder, I speak very generally. So if I say y'all or women, I am not speaking to anybody. If you feel like this does not align with how you move or operate, feel free to put yourself in the minority character category. Don't come at me and be like, I ain't like that. I'm speaking majority wise. Number one. Number two, it does not take two people to have a baby. It takes two people to make a baby. It only takes one person to push it out. When I had my children, I was the one doing all the work. He was standing there being a fake ass cheerleader. I was doing all the work. So he's not. It's not. It doesn't take two people to have a baby. It takes two people to make a baby. Number one. Number two.
I think you know what I meant,
The
though.
I know, but I'm just making sure that people understand. There's a difference. It doesn't take two people to have a baby. Um. Also, as far as since we're on the topic of having babies, women we get the most flack because we have the most decisions. Men have no rights once a baby is conceived. None, zero, none whatsoever. If the mother chooses to have that baby, he has no say so. He has no choice. There are laws that allow a woman to give up. A woman doesn't even have to name the father and give the baby up for adoption. He doesn't have any way to prevent that because if she doesn't even name him as the father of the child, or if she does not even consent to a DNA test, there's no way to prove he was the father. So he has no say so or no rights in that child's life. So I feel like at the end of the day, the burden becomes more on the mother than the father because you had way more opportunities than that man does. From the moment a woman gets pregnant, there's no question. It's all about what decision she makes. So if you lay down and have unprotected sex, and yeah, we could say the one night of pleasure is on his side too, but you knew he didn't have no condom on when he went in you because all of us women, we can all agree that it don't feel the same when there's a condom on versus when there's a condom not. So and you still allowed it to go through because you were just as much as heat as he was. So you allowed him to go in you raw. You allowed him to ejaculate inside you, which got you pregnant. When you became pregnant, and before we go into, well, if you find out late, majority of women don't find out as late as people think they do. You find out in enough time to do non-invasive medical abortion methods, like a pill, and yet you still choose not to do none of those things and you decide to have a baby and then to say that it's a man's fault that he's on child support, it's I mean in a lot of ways it's not, because there's a lot of men who don't want that baby to be born
I
and
disagree.
they're adamant from the beginning that they don't want to be a part of that child's life, and women force that. It is not your right to force somebody to
I
comply with your
disagree.
decision. Hold
Lauder,
on.
please
Hold
mute
on.
and let her finish talking, then we can talk.
It is not anybody's right, nobody, man, woman, no one's right to force another human to comply with the decision you made. If you get pregnant and you decide to carry that baby to term, you can say religious beliefs, whatever, I don't agree, politics, all of that, that was your decision to make. That man does not have that decision to make for you. He can't force you to have an abortion. He can't force you to terminate the pregnancy. You have that power. So you cannot, in turn, because you decided to sign up for a responsibility that you know you weren't ready for, force someone else to comply to your decision because that was your decision. You did, and most women make the decision to go through with a pregnancy without even consulting the man. The man could stand there and be adamant, and I've watched it on the outside in too many times. I've been involved with it. I already know. That men will say, "Hey, I don't want to be part of this," and the woman will say, "That don't matter. I'll raise my baby," and they talk all that hot shit all
Right.
9 months. I'll raise my baby all by
Till
myself.
the
I don't
baby
need
gets
you.
here.
The moment that baby gets here, they're down at the child support court crying and begging for pennies, and he don't do shit for me and the baby. But I thought you could do it without, and that's the majority of cases. That's not even the minority. That's not the extreme. That's the consistent everyday lifestyle. So I don't feel like, honestly, you should never force another human being to go along with the decision that you made. In legalese, okay, if you consent to be a part of a crime, you're considered an accessory because you consented. But if you are an unwilling participant in a crime because you were held at gunpoint, you're considered a kidnap victim. Low key, I feel like men that have babies with or who are forced to raise babies with women that they didn't want are kidnap victims. They are victims. They have been kidnapped because they want to leave and she won't let. Because that's all it is. If you choose to have a it's, let me tell you something. We don't live in a world where this has never happened. If this was very rare, it'd be a different conversation. More often than not, women lay down with men knowing you can get pregnant at any time of the month, on your period, off your period, whatever. You have unprotected sex, you get pregnant, and now he's got to step up. He's got to, that's all I ever hear. He got to do this and he got to do that, and he needs to be a stand up man and he needs to be that. But this was a decision you made as well. And you made it knowing that majority of men are going to choose to opt out, and you still decide. That's the craziest thing, to be a witness to this consistently over the last 2-3 decades, and you still decide to have a baby or still decide to make the decision to have unprotected sex, because there's no laws that protect, that force a man to be in your life. The most it does is force him to pay child support, and that's only if he consents to the DNA test. Other than that, he can burn off and you'll never see him again, and you're forced to. This is the reality. And yet you still choose to pay Russian roulette with your child's life and your life. And then you want to sit around and complain about how these dudes don't do this, how they don't raise their kids. But you made that decision. So the burden, women need to be more adamant about protecting yourself,
Protect your womb.
protecting your
Value your womb.
womb. Yeah, value yourself. If you know how easy it is to get pregnant. I understand what it's like when the blood gets circulating and you want somebody to touch you, but ain't nothing. But nothing's more important than the fact that what can come from that. Just to me, it's the equivalent of this. Everybody in here's ever been angry before. You've been angry at the point where you wanted to put your hands on someone, but there's been something that stopped you. That's called common sense. If I hit you, I can end up in jail. I don't want to go to jail. So it's the same thing with sex. If I have sex with you and you come inside me because you're not wearing a condom, I can end up pregnant. I don't want to end up pregnant. I guess I'll make the decision not to have sex with you. It's the same emotion. It's the same adrenaline. You can't say it's different. It is. It's the exact same chemical disposition for anger as it is for arousal. And yet you choose to be dumb for arousal, but you won't punch somebody in the face and go to jail. It's the same. It's the same sacrifice of your life if you think about it. You're gonna be locked up for years in prison without seeing your family. Your whole life gonna change if you have a baby. But we women continually make that, and continuously. And then the sad part for me is this: even the celebrities are making those decisions. I want to be a baby mama, not a wife, because before the stigma it was more lower income people who were put in those positions. Now, if you look at it, all the celebrities are baby mamas, and very few of them are wives. Why? Why approach that narrative when your outcome and their outcome ain't gonna be the same? Being a single mother is
I
being made as a media sensation, and it's not a wonderful thing. I'm divorced, and this is ghetto. I
Super
don't like
ghetto.
it. Super ghetto being raising kids by yourself. So I don't understand
I
why the
do.
conversation has to be brought to a level of I gotta say the right things to make people. I don't care who get mad at me.
Me
It
neither.
is what it is. I don't care. You be
I have a
mad if you
little
want
sister.
to.
I'm not gonna let my little sister or any of my little cousins think that this is okay. I don't care what any of
It's
these.
not. It's
I don't care
not.
what these women on TikTok or a woman wherever try to say, because all it be is justifications for the actions, and it's not cool. I have an older sister as well, and my older sister didn't do that, so I'm not. And that's why I always tell them, at least for the woman in my life that I love and I care about, I'm making sure every day. I'm whenever I have these conversations with my little sister. Not I may not even go as depth as the conversations we be having on here, but she'll tell you that as super ghetto and it's not cool and it's not the wave.
Noble.
Yeah,
You know what I
I can
find so
agree that
funny?
women are
Hold on one
left
second.
holding their dad.
Hold on one
Oh,
second.
well, one
Noble, you
second
know
at
what
a
I
long
find?
time.
I'm sorry. You know what I find very funny and contradictory? I see on this platform very often how women are talking about the mortality rate of pregnant women in the black community is increasing, right? But yet y'all women still running out here to have unprotected sex with strangers, hoping that they'll still be your baby father. So you're risking your life. Like that's the fun. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
Make it
it
make
don't make
sense.
sense to me. Not only are you gonna leave your baby alone without possibly a daddy, without a mama too. to be raised in the system, because not only could having this baby, you could die, and no one's thinking about that either. No
Yeah.
one's
Every
thinking
time
of it full
every time
circle.
I get online, every time I get online and I go into debates with those weird
Can I
white folks
speak?
that
Well,
wanna
one second.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overstep you. Go right ahead.
I've been waiting. And I only wanted to respond quickly and then I can drop down because I see where this is going. I can agree that women have much more to lose in this situation, but I cannot in good conscience, and I don't know how we all do it. Well, we talk about how intelligent and intellectual men are and how emotional women are, and they know, right? So they know what choice they have. They know that they have a choice, and after that the choice is out of their hands. Once they give their seed, their choice is up. And so if you know that that's the only choice you get to make, and you don't take it seriously, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
you are just as culpable because you knew the rules before you played the game. And we cannot do both. We cannot exalt men and tell them that they are leaders and then
Mm-hmm.
give them chances to bitch out because they didn't get the chance to make a choice. They
Mm.
So
made
tell
a
me.
choice. And nobody forgets that. Nobody thinks about that. They made a choice. They made a clear cut decision, the only one they knew they had to make. If my choice was between go to work or starve, I'm going to go to work. Whatever it is, if you know those are your choices, you're going to make them and you make the best one for you.
So
And
why?
after that, you don't get to cry about it
Yeah. So why?
on
So,
either
Mm-hmm.
end, though.
so why are all the black women? Why are all the black women having kids with Pookie and Ray Ray? Like Black Jesus said earlier, it is a small percentage of men, and it is this small percentage of men that these women are procreating and conceiving children with, that already have multiple kids by multiple different women. You guys, it's not the honorable men.
Well,
It's not it's not the men that's going to work every day, and the man that make an honest living, pay taxes, he got insurance, he got benefits. Thomas, John, and Lloyd, and Earl, and Tim, those aren't the guys that are out here having multiple kids by multiple different women. So it's the
well,
woman that
there are
laying down.
there's
It's
some
the
of
women.
those men.
One second. It is the women that are laying down with the men that are not honorable. And again, you have more to lose. So if you have more to lose, it'll probably be in your best interest. Even if you're not gonna move the right way, if you want to play Russian roulette, it'll probably be in your best interest to play Russian roulette with an honorable man. Not
Vada,
not
before
not
you
not
leave,
I
not
find it
Vada,
funny
before you leave, hold on. I got a question real
that
quick before you leave. Noble, question: who complains more about kids being raised by single parents? Men, black women, or black men?
black woman.
Black Jesus, who complains more about children being raised alone without a father in the house? Black women or black men?
100% it's our women.
Okay, so for you to say, Vada, that
okay.
the men shouldn't complain, it's the women that are the ones that are complaining, but they're the ones getting pregnant and they're the ones carrying the baby to term. It's not the
Oh
men
no, men are
complaining because
complaining about child
Vada,
support.
hold on,
No,
Vada, but hold
no,
on, Vada. Do you know the percentage of men that are actually on child support and forced to pay and are actually getting the consequences of not paying? Not as many as you think. The ones, so this is the thing, you can't hear the ones that are complaining and make it seem like
agree.
all of them are complaining. It's very, very few. The percentage of the men that are actually on child support and forced to take care of a child is not as much as you think. There's a lot more that aren't even in the picture at all, and those women are the ones who are complaining, and there's more of them than men complaining about child support. And at the end of the day, and in another statistic that I could pull
I
up, is
agree.
that more
Except
men who
your
more
statement
men
that
who
you
are
just
paying.
made was to
Hold
the
on, no, hold
contrary of
One
on.
this.
second.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. More men that complain about child support are come or have kids through marriages, because when you get divorced in majority of the states in the union, they do your child support agreement with your divorce proceedings. So more men who are divorced complain about child support than single men, because they don't even make it to that level. One of the reason why is because they have to be DNA tested, and a lot of women don't want the DNA test. yes, a lot of women don't want to do the child custody because, and they don't even want to do the child support. There's a lot more women out here who don't even have child support agreements, and I know this personally, on their children through the courts because one, they don't, because either A, they don't want to get DNA tests, or B, they don't want the custody agreement because they can be held in contempt of court when they try to keep the kid from the daddy, and they don't want any paper trail. So it's easier to do it off the books. The majority of men that complain about child support are men that are coming from marriages. So when you're saying that men don't complain about child support, the baby daddies out here getting these women pregnant, they ain't the ones complaining. That's why I said it's the woman's fault because you put yourself in this position.
Why do we continue to lay to
Again,
spite the
my
mothers?
response was
Why is the spite laid down at the mother's feet versus
Because
it's
it's
a we
already laid
situation?
at the feet of the because it's already laid at the feet of the fathers. The problem is
uh
the women don't want
Why
to
is
eat
it
their
not
tray of shit too.
accountability for both men and women?
That's what we're asking you, because when we try to talk to women about this, they give the woman a pass and victim status, and that's what you both, not you so much, but definitely Vada has been doing. They give them a
what victim
pass on
status
the
did
back.
I give?
You're
So
Because
you're
I
making it
said
saying
that
that
seem
it's
she is
more the
responsible, she has more to lose. And I also said that she did not get to complain about what the
She did.
situation is once she made it, but that he didn't either. I don't know what people hear when I speak.
okay. Fair
So
enough.
let me
I'm
ask
just
the panel
saying.
this. What is
Mhm.
Vina, what is the resolution? Vada, what is the resolution between men and women? Black,
that we
basically
need
black.
to
What
make
is the resolution?
We need to have more conversations with our daughters and be very, very adamant about the
Mm-hmm.
consequences. Number one, mothers,
Yes.
if you do have a daughter who has a baby out of wedlock, do not do like the old school women and start, oh, I'm going to take care of your baby while you go to school and still live your life. No. Reality needs to hit her in the face because statistically proven, when a mother steps in or a grandmother steps in and raises that baby, that girl goes out and gets pregnant again because she never had to deal with the consequences of her actions the first time. So number one, if you have a child that gets pregnant, make sure she does all of the work. If you don't fit, don't change your life to fit her and make it so comfortable and be like, oh well, your life should
Mm-hmm.
be ruined. Her
Mm-hmm.
life is ruined and she chose to ruin it, especially if you're having these talks with her. Don't make it easy for her because if not, she's gonna come in there with a baby again. Number one. Number
Same with
two,
a
we
son.
need to,
Mm-hmm.
same with a
Let them
son.
sit
That
in it. Let
boy,
them sit in it.
yeah, sit in
Mm-hmm.
it. Sit in
Mm-hmm.
it. That way you won't do this stupid shit again. And then
Mm-hmm.
number two, we need to make sure we are being having these conversations and letting our kids know and making more open spaces in our household. People always criticize how I talk to my children because I have an open dialect. And they say, oh, your kids are disrespectful. They're not. Because at the end of the day, my kids can come and tell me anything. They will
Mm-hmm.
come and have any kind, and you need that because one thing you don't want is anybody else putting that input into your child's
Mm-hmm.
mind because that's
Mm-hmm.
when they normally make the most negative decisions. So we need to make sure we have open spaces in our households for our sons and our daughters so they can come talk to us because your calm voice can be the voice that steers them from making drastic decisions. And
Mm-hmm.
make sure you let your daughters know your womb is a prize just like the rest of you. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
DNA, I tell my daughter all the time, DNA matters, baby. You don't know who you mixing your DNA with. You're gonna end up
Mm-hmm.
with a little Chucky doll. You mess around with the wrong person. Be careful. You end up
Mm-hmm.
with a little cray cray, and then you're gonna be on your own because I ain't gonna babysit. Like you gotta tell these kids the truth and let them know that these decisions have consequences. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. The communication in our households needs to be stronger. You need to steer and the women, the generation before us that are single mothers, tell these
Mm-hmm.
damn babies the truth. Like Noble said, tell them, listen, I was dumb. I met your daddy at a club. We had sex unprotected. I was an idiot. I got pregnant with you. Please don't be like me.
Yeah, don't sugarcoat it and
Tell
don't
them the
glam it
truth.
up. Yeah.
Don't. Don't glam it
Okay.
up. Don't be like, I was a single back mama and I did it all by myself. Don't do that.
Right.
This shit is ghetto. This shit is
Yeah.
ghetto, and I don't wish this on. I
My
tell
my
my kids that
sons
all
hear
the
my
time, and
heart
I was
cry
married. Hmm.
all the time. And my life teaches. My sons hear my heart cry. Plenty of times where I was frustrated because simple things, they both got practices on different sides of town, and then I don't want one child to be sitting there and
No support.
coaches waiting with them, but I
Right.
know for a fact I don't have the support and this got to get done. I let them know if your fathers were involved, I wouldn't have to deal with this. Then
Mm-hmm.
because my main point in making that statement is they could have what they need and it would be fluid and it would flow. So I allow it to teach them that way. Make a sound decision, a educated decision when you decide to marry someone. Make an educated decision when you decide to court someone. Be mindful of the type of woman that you bring into our lineage because we have some strong, amazing, beautiful women in our family, and we will call that woman out if she's done, if she would be vetted out. If she don't make the cut, she don't make the cut. Same thing. I don't have any daughters, which I always wanted, but I would say that to my daughter. I also teach my sons that when they started dating and having those social skills, I let them know you be respectful of this young lady because that's someone's daughter. Don't
Right.
you be trying to go with uh the influence of your buddies and trying to get notches up under your belt, or uh thinking recklessly like I have the right to soar my oats because you're affecting and infecting someone's daughter. I always tell my sons, don't you be the reason why her heart broke. If you don't want to be with
Mm-hmm.
her because you want to see someone else and simply just have sex, you need to just let the young lady go. But don't be dragging her along and playing all these little games that young minded people do. I don't want my kids
Mm-hmm.
to fall into that. I also teach my sons that their body is just as valuable as the woman's. Their seed is just
Mm-hmm.
as valuable as the woman's. So those are some